just came to chase the blues away for a while.
Tim Buckley was an American guitarist, singer, and songwriter. He was moderately successful, kind of, and active as an artist from 1966 to 1975 when he died. He's his son Jeff Buckley is probably better known than him. He was successful in the 90s. He also died young. Back to Tim. He started out by doing folk. He transitioned into jazz and psychedelia in the late 60s, and then briefly into funk, which was a bit of an odd move. He produced 9 studio albums during his life, and there have been around 10 live albums released after his death, so posthumously. So this was Tim Buckley's fourth studio album. It was the second since he'd started doing his own lyrics completely, and he used the same band as he did for the previous album. Point the other way, yes, previous album, and um, um, yeah, it's an extraordinary album. Okay, so normally when I'm doing a review like this, I have some notes and I just scribble some stuff and I have it on the screen and I can read it and it helps me not to get tongue-tied and fluff. Normally also I put my laptop on something so that it's not kind of wobbling around. It kind of feels fitting for this one that it should wobble around and that I should just do it as a complete, fresh without thinking about it somewhat, because it's that kind of album. And I'm not really sure how I can explain that, but uh, the album itself feels very, I need words, spontaneous in some ways. It's very unfettered, although how you achieve that when you've actually composed and arranged stuff, it has this kind of floaty freedom to it, which the only other person that I've heard that really has this kind of approach has been his own son, Jeff Buckley, later. And it very strongly reminds me of Jeff's album Grace, which I don't think it's a huge spoiler to say that that's coming later in the list. Um, it was it's musically really well. Okay, let's describe. It's kind of folky with some elements of jazz in, which sounds like a strange combination, and it is a bit of a strange combination. There's some bits that are more kind of experimental almost, and I know that having read up on Tim Buckley, he listened to experimental jazz, so that kind of fits. Um, there's there's quite a bit of the musical composition which is quite um, yeah, loose, but not necessarily in terms of the timing, but in the sense that you've got different lines going on and they happen at the same time. But if you don't listen carefully, it sounds like they're not even related to each other, but actually they are. They interweave and they twine and it's great. There's some one of the tracks has got some excellent jazz guitar solo stuff going on, and some of it is just it's got a real. How can it be loose and still have tension? And I don't understand that. His voice is very expressive. Um, uh, it's not a happy album. It's quite sad in some ways, and that really comes across through his voice. He's got a great falsetto delivery, um, and it's hard to categorize. I think you're getting the impression that I loved it. I really did. I love this album to bits. I've only listened a couple of times for the review, but this is definitely going on the on the pile of things that I want to listen to again and again. I think It's got a real depth to it that you don't often find. It's got a real maturity to it that is interesting. I loved it. So this is why I should always take notes before making these videos. Something that I remembered as I was editing that I thought I would have wanted to say, which is uh, albums like this and discoveries like this are exactly why I'm doing this set of reviews. It's really a reason for me to listen to a whole lot of albums that I wouldn't have listened to naturally normally, and every now and again I discover an absolute gem like this, or I think it's a gem. So if you want to have the same, I would encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Bye.
Catch you by